People who are able to remember their previous lives are known as saviors. They have the ability to harness ancestral arts, attending schools around the world to cultivate said powers. While the Japanese school's principal explains the concept, Moroha falls asleep. He dreams about his previous life, seeing a girl leaning in for a kiss. But instead, he wakes up to a headbutt from the same girl, calling her Saraja. Surprised, she calls him Flaga and immediately changes her tune, referring to him as older brother. They both spot another student passed out on the floor. When Mohara goes to wake her up, she mumbles, "Shu Saura?" immediately kissing him while angering Satsuki. Still half asleep, Shizuno says she must have the wrong person. Moroha has no idea what's going on, since he has almost no memory of his past life. Thinking out loud before class, Satsuki says she's determined to get Moroha's attention. Since they aren't technically related in this life, their love isn't taboo, though it's still highly questionable. During training, the teacher tries to instruct the class on using light skills, but only Satsuki and Gen can harness their prana. They argue and end up fighting. Satsuki loses, and Gen pisses off Moroha when he degrades her further. After hearing Satsuki explain how lonely her childhood was until she reconnected with her reincarnated brother, Mohara challenges Gen to a duel, but can't use his ancestor's weapon, which manifests from the dog tags each student wears. Gen almost wins, but when Satsuki and Shizuno appear, Moroha suddenly remembers how to channel prana and beats him. Moroha dreams about Satsuki's ancestor leaning in for a kiss again, only to wake up lip to lip with a small girl. Why? Because magic. The principal brushes it off, explaining it's merely a healing method. She also casually mentions tying Satsuki up and holding her hostage. Apparently, locked doors aren't magical enough. After seeing this battle, the principal discovers that Moroha is the ancient dragon, the eldest heroic spirit. Some saviors are legendary heroes that reincarnate multiple times, able to use both light and dark arts. Later, Moroha and Shizuno meet on the roof with the captain of the Strikers, a group of elite saviors. He instantly joins up upon hearing how much it pays. Satsuki overhears, becomes jealous, and demands to join too, but she's crushed after the captain turns her down for being too weak. Satsuki and Shizuno decide to go out shopping after school, when a Metaphysical, a monster that saviors defend against, shows up. Telling Shizuno to evacuate the civilians, Satsuki tries taking the giant serpent on herself, but she's no match, so Shizuno steps in with her dark arts after calling the Strikers. Leading the monster into a shopping mall, the girls start turning to stone, realizing the snake has 9 heads, making it a dreadnought class. Back at the school, the Strikers admit it would take 100 people to fight a Metaphysical that strong. But refusing to step in only frustrates Moroha. Remembering how powerless he was to save his parents, he goes to the mall alone and regains another memory during the fight, allowing him to vanquish the creature. Satsuki is ecstatic when the Strikers' captain offers her a spot on the team's reserve after hearing about her involvement in the incident. In a cafe, the trio talks about the other day when a strange man with a British accent walks in. Suddenly, time seems to stop. The man appears beside Moroha, fist raised, but he stops before hitting him. Wondering if he could see him and why he didn't react, he leaves. Shizuno reveals that he's the UK branch's S rank, Edward, one of only 6 in the entire world. Since he defeated a dreadnought-level Metaphysical, he's now eligible to become an S rank too. Satsuki gets excited, but is let down when Shizuno explains how S ranks have to serve their country and have no freedom. It turns out the healer is the principal's younger sister, Maya. Feigning a meeting with her sister, Moroha shows up to find her alone. She reveals that Shizuno's brother is the school's chairman, who is using Shizuno as a tool to further their wealthy family's goals, as well as his own. That night, he's invited to the Orishibara mansion for dinner. Her brother tells Moroha that he's already qualified to be an S rank, if the 3 of them told the truth, that is. The family wishes for Shizuno to stay by his side while he rises through the ranks. She doesn't care about the family's name and would rather sleep all the time because she feels trapped in real life. But in her dreams, she lives as a slave. On his way home, Motoha decides to walk the rest of the way, where he's confronted by a woman riding a motorcycle, wearing black from head to toe for a very brief moment, since he masterfully avoids cutting all of her clothes off after having another memory flash. Unfortunately, Edward cannot grant Shizuno's brother's request, as there's no evidence that all three didn't help in defeating the Metaphysical. Motoha returns to his dorm to find Maya, his new roommate, and to top it off, they're sharing a bed. Of course, since it's clearly the only logical and completely sane thing to do. Shizuno is not having it and refuses when her brother informs her that she's transferring schools after proving her skills helping Motoha. While dining with Edward, who requested the relocation, Motoha calls, but Shizuno tells him there's nothing she can do. He parrots a phrase he said in their past lives. He then breaks through the window, claims he killed the Metaphysical solo, kidnaps Shizuno, and they hop in the getaway car with Maya behind the wheel. Edward and his maid/lover go to stop them. Motoha recognizes her as the motorcycle assassin somehow. He goes one-on-one with Edward, while the others lend their aid, keeping the maid at bay. While fighting, Motoha remembers his other past life with Shizuno, freeing her from servitude and making her his queen. He uses some crazy magic to freeze Edward in place, almost destroying the surrounding area, if not for Maya's force field. Edward now fully endorses his application to become an S rank. Shizuno no longer needs to transfer, though making her seduce Motoha is her brother's next 4D chess move. Apparently, the group has been getting to know their classmates during the months leading up to summer break, and it looks like they'll get to know even more of each other while training on the beach. The Japanese member of the Head Six, the Rank S representatives from the UK, Russia, France, China, and the US, gathers the group to discuss promoting Motoha to their own rank. During their nightly training sessions, Satsuki gets a strange feeling that there's something looming in the water while looking to the horizon. Motoha goes back to the hotel when he bumps into Shizuno, who's still putting the moves on him. Tomorrow is the last day of summer vacation. What could possibly go wrong? The Head Six hold a vote. Russia and France both vote no, and China defers their vote to the US representative. They need more proof than mere conjecture and bias. The Japanese rep clasps his chest suddenly. There's a metaphysical on the way. It's 300 meters long, the biggest one yet. They need a new classification, Fortress Class. The captain of the strikers tells everyone to evacuate with the rest of the civilians. There's no way they can win against something so uncertain. One student suddenly comes down with an illness and runs out, completely normal and not suspicious. The Japanese rep from the Head Six is knocked unconscious. They're leaving this to their new S-rank savior candidate. Motoha, Satsuki, and Shizuno stay behind and refuse to back down. Well, at least they have some backup. The rest of the strikers stay behind to risk their lives as well. It looks like everything's going to their hasty plan when the larvae that it released from its body earlier revive and begin swarming them. Motoha jumps on its back and notices it has countless faces, unlike the 9-headed snake from before. But Motoha has a brain blast and remembers some even more powerful magic from his past lives just at the precise moment he needs it. They did it. The striker team strikes, despite their superior's order that there will be no striking. Despite putting him on probation until he finishes school, the Russian representative, the Lightning Empress, plots against Motoha, sending a spy to take care of him. Elena, the new Russian exchange student, meets with Motoha after leaving a love letter in his locker, claiming it was love at first sight, despite only seeing him after leaving the letter. Satsuki asks whether she has any family, and Elena admits to being an orphan, though she does have a younger brother. Shizuno demands to know what her objective is, and accuses her of being an assassin, though Elena dismisses the wild accusations. Her mission is to become Motoha's girlfriend and asks him on a date. She shows up to meet Motoha wearing cat ears and a maid costume, mistaking Japanese pop culture for regular dating culture. Shizuno calls up Angela, Edward's companion. It turns out that Elena is a man-eater and has already made an attempt on Edward's life at one point. So to protect Motoha, she challenges Elena to a duel. Despite her powerful dark arts, She's no match when Elena unleashes her real weapon, the demon sword Leprezam, having the ability to absorb the opponent's prana. She leaves Shizuno alive when a teacher discovers them. Both end up suspended, so Motoha visits Shizuno at her mansion, where she reveals the true intentions of the Russian spy. But he doesn't care. He hugs her and swears that there's still some good left in Elena. Motoha and Satsuki go to help Elena recover, narrowly missing her comrade possessing a crow. Everyone from their class that they've made friends with shows up to help over the next few days. Elena asks Motoha for one more date, but when they arrive at the park, she immediately attacks him. Shizuno and Satsuki rush to help, but the American student in their class was ordered to allow Elena to kill Motoha by the US representative. He has another random memory flash to the past. Now, back in the future, he uses his ancestors' sword skills to avoid the vampire qualities of Elena's sword. Shizuno steps in and stops the fight. Elena never actually had a brother. The memories were implanted in the military-like compound in Russia where they train saviors. The crystal necklace breaks, and so does Elena. She becomes possessed by the same person who possessed the crow to watch over her. Motoha convinces Elena to stay in Japan while he decides to wage war on the Lightning Empress of Russia. When he arrives, he meets one of the Russian branch's head members, but refuses to kill him, or anyone else for that matter, and takes him prisoner. The only person he brings along is Angela, so none of his friends are in danger, and to avoid an international incident. Motoha tells his captive to reveal his plans to take out other high-ranking Russian saviors. Motoha shows malice for the first time, remembering his days on the battlefield, and stabs his prisoner. Though he escapes and immediately tells the Empress, who is without mercy. Anyone who fails dies, no exceptions. She tells her followers to wait for him to make his moves. Motoha continues to travel around Russia, incapacitating the Empress's forces. One night, while he's walking with Angela, they both notice they're being followed, so he flies to a nearby open area to fend off the ambush. Though none of them can even touch him, some of the Russians ask for him to give up so they don't have to die at the Empress's hands. He tries to convince them that he hasn't killed any of their comrades. He saves one of the girls attacking him and pretends to defeat her so her allies don't find out. The last enemy pops out of the forest with a mirror on his back, acting as a portal, allowing the Empress to cast her own magic through it, though the mirror is broken by Angela before any serious damage is done. Motoha awakens, with his face buried in Angela's bare chest, but she was just using extra strong healing magic, of course. It seems a single kiss won't cut it this time. The girl he saved, Katia, finds them and asks for their help. Her best friend Yuri is at the Empress's mansion, being used as a weapon. Motoha leaves Katia behind with Angela. Despite being one of her most loyal subjects, the one who tried using the mirror is put to death. No exceptions. Motoha finally makes it to her mansion, but the Empress summons an army made entirely out of lightning. He's able to take on the beasts one at a time. Things are looking good, until a squad of Russian agents come. He simply can't kill anyone, but he doesn't have to. All his friends suddenly teleport to help him wage war on the Empress. Elena destroys the crystals around the Russian agents' necks, and Yuri finally recognizes her best friend. They all team up and destroy the Lightning Army. But the Empress has one more trick up her sleeve. She summons a huge titan made of lightning to smite them. Motoha has yet another flash of his ancestors' powers. He uses a higher-level spell, surpassing even the Empress's abilities, making him pretty much the strongest person on Earth. They all spend some time in a co-ed sauna, where Elena and Satsuki engage in silly competitions to prove who the better sister is. Satsuki wins the arm wrestle, but they both lose after Shizuno freezes them. Outside, he tells Shizuno about a strange dream he has, where a monster takes everyone he loves away from him. Meanwhile, the Japanese representative has another attack causing crippling pain in his chest. This time, it's worse than anything he's ever experienced. A Metaphysical appears in Russia, and Motoha stays to help. Since Maya hasn't been able to stay with Motoha, all the girls have a sleepover to cheer her up, pillow fights and all. The Japanese rep tells Edward it's no ordinary monster. It's the ancient dragon. A huge black void opens up above Japan, and an enormous dragon appears. The strikers are left alone to defend the city. They just have to hold out long enough for the principal to teleport Motoha back to Japan. As they plan an ambush, the dragon seems to figure it out and attacks. Despite a large group of them launching spells, the dragon is able to reverse them, reflecting the words in its eyes. If they can't use magic, how are they supposed to even scratch it? The strikers are picked off one by one, as if the dragon is biding its time and playing with them, waiting for something, or perhaps someone. The principal almost pulls off the teleportation spell, but she's trapped under burning beams, so it's up to Maya to finish the spell herself. Edward steps in right before the dragon attacks her. Success. She finishes the spell just in time. Motoha shows up, but he's not himself. This is the very same dragon who killed his loved ones in previous lives. He tells everyone to stay back so he can protect them, but it's no use. He couldn't protect his parents, Satsuki or Shizuno. Both turn to stone, causing Motoha to lose all control. Both Satsuki and Shizuno are roused by their ancestors speaking to them in their unconscious state. They can't leave him alone at a moment like this. They both break out of their stone prisons, appearing as their ancestors. Motoha transforms as well, combining both of his ancestors into one body. The dragon can't counter spells if he can't see them. Angela throws her sword, taking out its eye. With the help of Satsuki and Shizuno, Motoha channels their magic with his own, finally ending the cycle of tragic loss that plagued him and his ancestors. Thank you for listening until the end. Subscribe for more videos like this.